Good evening and welcome to the We Are Rise show. I'm your host, Brett C. Collins. How you doing out there on this Hump Day Wednesday? What's going on? Welcome in tonight's show. Trump, I'm not afraid of anything. Double meaning? What is he saying? We're going to get to that. Boots on the ground? Kharg Island? Is that where it's going to happen? Nukes, NATO? The IC Trustworthy, the international community. Do you trust them? Do you trust any of them? Do you trust what we saw today? How about, what do you think about Tulsi Gabbard? Rand Paul is a pussy. I think that's kind of obvious. Now, the question is, do you like Rand Paul or do you like Mark Wayne Mullen? We'll figure it out. Let's welcome my co-host, Marshall Smith. What's going on?
I'll take Mark Mullen.
You like Mark Wayne Mullen? Okay.
Well, I mean, I like him better than Rand Paul, but I don't know a whole lot about the guy, though. I
Right.
watched some of it. He looked
Mhm.
pretty reasonable to me.
Mhm.
I mean, he's got a history with the military and all that.
Yeah.
I don't know a whole lot. I shouldn't say that. I don't know a whole lot about him.
Okay.
So
All right. No, that's fine.
I'll
I'm just
stay
asking.
neutral. I'll
Yeah,
be
let me.
neutral.
Well,
I
when we
find
get
out
into
more.
it, then you'll be able. I think when we break it down, you'll have a better insight of where you're feeling and stuff. I put that up there because I thought his hearing today for the Homeland Secretary confirmation. I think he was petty. I think he was petty and catty, and trite. That's how I felt. Rand Paul.
Mullen? Oh, Rand.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I think Rand Paul was holding a grudge. He's the only guy that didn't vote for him. I think he said he's a no vote. I think what's his name? The senator from Pennsylvania voted for him, or is leaning towards that. So we'll find out. We'll see if he gets confirmed and stuff. I mean, maybe there's a couple of other people that are not going to confirm him because the way things are going. Welcome in pill.net. Hello over here on YouTube. What's going on over here on Rumble? Yes, what's up, True Terran? Greetings. Metal Mama, long time. I haven't seen you over here. What's up, Razone 9300 on YouTube? Yes, you can subscribe and share over there and like. If you want to help out the platform, you can go buymeacoffee.com/wearerise. Let's say hello over here to pill.net. What's going on, Wood USA? Thank you for the 217 gold pills. Let's effing go. Trump won with the cookie. You said my comments yesterday with Thomas yesterday in the beginning were great. Oh, you like the show? Oh, okay, great. I don't know. I don't remember what comment specifically you're talking about. Let me know. What's up, Sausage Launcher? How you doing, my friend? Good to see everybody out there. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a gold pill. Comments, questions, or concerns. You can help out the platform. You can help out Marshall. Ko-fi.com/surfdog74. I want to get into some breaking news. I shouldn't even say breaking news, but let's just say updated news that's out there. I'll just put up this one because it's kind of similar, but this is new. This is news that's hitting right now, or has hit like the last couple of hours, and I think we should cover this because I'm going to go through a lot of stuff, and this is in regards. Wow, this is a long article. We're just going to go through it live. Iran hits huge Qatari gas facilities and missile strike, and they also hit Saudi Arabia too. The Brent crude benchmark rose to 111. We're going to 150. There's no doubt about it. We're going to 150. This is short-term, let's just say long-term gain, short-term interim pain. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they hit an LNG facility. It looks like Iran's not going quietly in the night, as we're led to believe. So they're not attacking us. They're just attacking everybody else. And they figure, well, you know what? We might as well disrupt and interrupt the actual oil and gas industry throughout the world and throw the monkey wrench in it. And then you got certain people out there, let's just fucking nuke them. See, that's their response. Yeah, let's just kill 90 million Iranians. Just fucking, let's drop a couple of bombs. Couldn't you upset the apple cart and the balance of oil and gas? Man, there's some sick, evil motherfuckers out there. And they're one of them. This regime that's still lasting, whoever this regime is, the face behind this regime, They ain't going quietly at all. So we're going to find out if President Trump sends in those Marines and we secure the oil. We'll get to that. Iran struck the world's largest liquefied natural gas export facility in Qatar after threatening to hit key sites across the Gulf. Qatar said the missile strike on Wednesday has caused a fire at the Ras Laffan gas facility, warned the attack had caused extensive damage. Qatar Energy, the state-owned oil and gas company, said that the site had been the subject to a missile crisis. Emergency response teams were deployed immediately to contain the resulting fires. The price of the oil surged over $110 a barrel following the missile strike on the gas facility. Let's scroll down here more. Look at that. We're going to go over here. Pentagon requests more than $200 billion in funding for the Iran war. So they need more money to fund this war. Wow. Pentagon is reported to ask $200 billion on a budget to request for the Iran war, according to the Washington Post. Remember, this war conflict started on the 28th. So you got technically 2 months with this War Powers Act. But, unless we declare war, I don't know if we're going to get to that point. U.S. Defense Department said we have asked the White House to approve of significant budget requests. So, the past 2 weeks, the Pentagon had put forward a number of proposed funding requests, a senior U.S. official said. Let's see if they're going to do it. I mean, they got no problem giving away gobs of money, billions of dollars overseas to Ukraine. Okay, let's see if they do that. It comes as the conflict escalates in the Middle East, causing significant increase in oil prices. Yep. I mean, look, I hate to say it. I don't want to be that guy, but, brace yourself. We're going to have $4.50 in places, not normally seeing $5. It's very possible. Forget about California and New York and certain other areas where the taxes are high and they just basically gouge you all over the place. It's not even about that. Just be prepared that we're going to go a lot higher. And I already seen $4.99 gas right here where I'm at. Fed raises inflation forecast after Trump's war triggers an oil shock. Yep. But here's the thing. Biden was about 9% most of his term. Okay. The guy wearing the mask, the Autopen Cape Crusader, he was about 9%. So we're going, from 2.4 to 2.9. So it'll be close to 3? That's what we're saying. It's nothing. It's really nothing. It's a drop in the bucket. It really is. So they want to put that up there because what it's going to do is with the oil and gas, with inflation that is going to slightly increase, you'll see higher groceries. You'll see distribution prices higher. You'll see certain other things that we're not taking for granted go up because of this. Operation suspended at a UA gas facility. Iran warns further attacks on energy infrastructure will lead to retaliation. Trump opposes further strikes on Iranian energy infrastructure. He made that point quite clear that he didn't want to just decimate the whole thing because, put them back to the Stone Age. And, you don't know what that's going to do in general to disrupt the oil. So you want to secure it in some way. You want to actually, in some way, seize it, secure it. You want to control these oil fields in some way while you're retrieving the uranium enrichment, wherever that is, if they can get to that. Moving on, oil prices top $110 a barrel following the attack. The largest LNG facility. Tanker pays $2 million to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, wow. Iran war weighs on Wall Street. Yep, here it is. Attacks on the energy facilities across the Gulf region pushed oil prices higher and weighed on New York and listed stocks. Inflation fears caused worries among investors. Federal Reserve voted to hold borrowing costs at $3.75 a piece. Moving on, oil prices near $110 a barrel. Iranian missiles attacked there. I don't know what. Did they just repeat that? Yeah. And we're going through. Fed prepared to do what it needs to tackle inflation. They're not raising the rates. They're going to stay nominal. Jerome Powell's already said that he's staying until the new committee chair, until the new chairman is going to be, let's just say, appointed and confirmed. So I don't know what that means at this point. So he's not going anywhere. And he's also asking the Justice Department to waive all this stuff. I mean, they have to go back and forth because right now what happened with the federal judge giving him some pass with immunity, the Justice Department is going out of their way to make sure they can find a federal judge that's going to basically squash that and go after him further. Iran war will be a big factor in the Federal Reserve's next meeting. Okay, I got more to go. Marshall, your thoughts? Anything you want to say about that? Because I got a ton more.
Yeah, I don't think the Iranian regime is pretty much gone. I mean, there's not much.
So who's firing these missiles?
Well, physically they are. Mm-hmm. I mean, but who's running them is the key. And I would say I'm going to lean. It's got to be the British Kingdom. They're all tied up in all this shit.
No, of course they are. I mean,
So,
when are we gonna be able to see the face that's
yeah.
hiding behind all this? I mean, that's what I want to see. See, Iran is being isolated right now. They're not only just attacking their fellow neighbors, all right, they're actually going after these oil and LNG lines and stations and stuff. And really, they're putting themselves in a box. You don't see Russia helping them out, at least not what we understand. I know Tulsi Gabbard was asked that question, but for some reason, she basically didn't want to take a bite at that or want to give them some carte blanche of a reason to make this about Russia. And remember, this affects the East, not the West. It affects China. It affects South Korea, North Korea, many other countries that rely on this. 40% of the oil comes from that region, goes over there. The West only relies about, 6% tops, and that includes Europe. Is this Gulf states battle to shoot down Iranian missiles? Tehran blitzes oil and gas plants, causing extensive damage worldwide, biggest in Qatar, sending prices, crude soaring, as Putin breaks silence on his assassination of his friends, Larijani. Oh, wow. So I'm not going to cover this anymore. I just got too many different things in there, but I just wanted you to hear that and see what's happening right now. All right, let's get into what I want to talk about, because let's face it, this is the big story of the day. And I think a lot of people, need to take this seriously. How do you feel about if there's going to be boots on the ground? How are you going to feel in some way? President Trump, when asked if he will put boots on the ground, I'm not afraid of anything. That's a bold statement. He's not afraid of the media. He's not afraid of the fake MAGA, the America First crowd, the Jewish usurpers, whoever's in here trying to divide and conquer everybody and stuff. He's not afraid, he says. He's not afraid. He's not afraid of doing it. He's not afraid about the blowback. He doesn't really care. That's what he's saying. While taking questions in the White House, he was asked if he was afraid to send boots on the ground. He goes, it will turn out to be another Vietnam. His response, baited question, President Trump answered, I'm not afraid of anything. That's pretty ballsy. You got a guy like that, that's pretty ballsy. Donald Trump has said he's not afraid that the conflict of Iran could turn into another Vietnam War. Speaking in Oval Office alongside Ireland's Taoiseach Michael Martin on Tuesday. The U.S. president questioned by a reporter on possibility of repeating history if American troops were deployed in Tehran. Iran's deputy foreign minister said the U.S. could risk another deadly war if troops are deployed, said Katzabada told Sky News, just read what happened in Vietnam. I don't believe it's going to be Vietnam at all. I think we are going to send troops. All right. I think the plan was there. It'll happen by Friday. And I think the idea of what he's saying, the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit will probably hit the island as has been suggested. And I think it's not just the Strait of Hormuz, but in some way to secure the island, make sure that the oil is good, everything is moving fine, and maybe also search out the possibility of where to find this uranium enrichment that we know for a fact they do have, if it's viable to get, if it's not crushed underground in some facility and stuff. Or do they know where to go, Marshall? Do they know where to go to find this?
As far as you mean the troops, the Marines and all that,
no, to find the uranium.
I would think they do. I would think they probably know exactly where to go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, man, we don't have all this technology and inside information for no reason.
Yeah.
I do believe that we have now, do they have more hidden somewhere else? Probably. And into the last statement I made in the last article, when I say the British Kingdom with Iran,
yeah,
Israel is right in there with them. And people might say, why would British Kingdom and also be in control of Israel too? Well, it's a big game.
Yeah.
But it's a dangerous game, and it's a game of control, money, and power.
It's the same heads of it's two heads of the same coin.
Right.
Yeah. So you have to consider that. Yeah. Funded by both levels. Wait till you find out about what I show you about Israel. I got some really interesting stuff about Israel that we're going to go, and then you'll start to see. And then those who have like, oh, well, you're just attacking Israel. You're just one of those people who want to jump on board. I'm going to show you something that goes back to 1986, and you're going to be pissed. And then we're dealing with this, and we already lost 10 American soldiers.
13.
So 13 now. So there's 3 more that were killed.
Yeah, it was a total of 13 so far.
Oh, Trump
Wait a minute,
hasn't.
I could be wrong because that's right. They had some other soldiers brought over that was from 2017 that were just brought over when he went to. Anyway, go ahead, man. Sorry,
Yeah,
my
I don't
mistake.
know.
My
Yeah.
mistake.
Okay. Yeah, just mute up. All right. Trump hasn't made his mind on sending Americans into Iran to seize nuclear material. So again, this is CBS News. I'm going to play it. I think this is important to hear.
Thousands more U.S. personnel in recent days. Can we see that as being ready in case he does, in fact, make that decision?
It's unclear what they would be doing, but yes, I mean that is a signal that something is being prepared for them potentially. It's a Marine unit, so where exactly they would do it is unclear, but it is a sign that they are being brought into that region just in case.
Well, and there's also a lot of pressure that I'm reading from the President of the United States on NATO nations. He would like them to get more involved, specifically in the Strait of Hormuz. Are they moving in that direction?
No, not yet. At least we've seen the Germans, we've seen members of the European Union and others signal that this is a war that they did not start and they did not ask for, and so they don't necessarily see a need to get involved. The British have been a little more open to it, saying they're continuing to deliberate about it. But he has talked openly about this on Truth Social, suggesting that the United States can go it alone, and that maybe there would have to be actions taken against NATO. He also talked about this a little bit. Take a listen.
I think NATO's making a very foolish mistake. And I've long said that, I wonder whether or not NATO would ever be there for us. So this was a great test because we don't need them, but they should have been there.
Mm.
He had said on Truth Social that if it were the United States that were to finish this off, would they necessarily be allowed? Would they have full access to the strait? In essence, is what he was suggesting. As you see that would get some of our non-responsive allies in gear and fast, wouldn't it?
He's basically saying, look, if we take this over and we control this, because at first he said, we can just lead this whole truck and let someone else sort it out. We don't really care. We're energy independent. And then he turns around and he says, you know what? How about we seize the island, take control of the Strait of Hormuz, all right? We control the island in general, the oil reserve there. And you know what? We start charging for an entry fee to pass through. How about that one? And that includes our allies. He's not playing around. And we'll get to NATO real soon. Let's listen to this.
President suggested. So, look, the public goading continues. There have been some private diplomatic conversations between the United States and other countries about potentially getting involved. But even if another country is to get involved, we could be several weeks away from seeing those operations take place, just by the sheer fact that it would take a while to get the naval equipment or the personnel in place to join the United States in those efforts.
Ed, as we talk about all of this strategy and all of the implications, we're also mindful as a news organization that there are families of U.S. military personnel who are planning funerals. We understand that the president has some plans to mark the return of some of those service members today.
That's right. He is en route right now to Dover Air Force Base in Delaware for a dignified transfer of those that were killed in that refueling accident. This is the second one he has attended in recent days for service members killed in action in response to or in carrying out operations related to the ongoing attacks on Iran. Notable, we only learned about this last night that he is going, but a signal that he understands the human cost and that the White House wants to make sure the American public knows that he understands the human cost of the war.
Ed O'Keefe live in Washington. Thank you so much.
Okay. So what's your thoughts about that? I mean, what do you think about that?
I think it's I've always thought that island, Iran is a big country. I mean, it's big.
Yeah.
And I think it's mountainous and all this other crap. That's a hairy situation.
Yeah.
Whereas this island, as you mentioned earlier, this is a key right there.
Mm-hmm.
You can easily take over that thing. What is it? Kharg Island? Is it Kharg?
Kharg Island. Yep.
Kharg. Take over that island. You can do everything you just mentioned, and you've really got it down. And I'll just say this. I know we're getting ready to bring it up, but I will say this is also has a big thing to do with NATO,
Yeah.
all of it, because he even mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, and I'll go into NATO. I'll jump around on this, but the key is understanding what President Trump is doing about NATO and suggesting all this. He's doing what they call a double blind. All right. A double blind is mutually conflicting messages. That's what's being sent out on purpose. It's a manipulative communication strategy where an individual or a group is forced into a situation with no clear, positive way to respond. That's the bottom line. He's giving NATO an opportunity to figure out, do they want us to be a part of it and continue on with this because we're paying for all this stuff and it's a giant freaking laundromat? Or you have a choice. We take over that. You say you don't want to be a part of it. Now you're going to be paying us for the Strait of Hormuz because we're going to control it. That's probably what's going to happen. We're going to take over this island. We're going to control the oil reserves over there. We're going to control whatever needs to be done. Now, we're not talking about nation building and stuff, but in some way, we'll have what? Control with other partners in the region of that territory. I mean, you know what they say, to the winner go the spoils. So in this case, if the spoils are not going to be what? Divvied up and shared with a country where countries that are supposed to what? Help out when one is attacked. See, NATO had no problem shooting missiles down that were helping out Turkey. But they say, no, well, we started this in some way. And so, you know what? We're not responsible. That truck is all you. No problem. Then you get nothing. You get no cut from this. Fuck you. I hate NATO. And I've always said on this platform, NATO's going away. And we're seeing the actual structure fracturing. The EU is garbage, and they are done. Realistically, when you think about it, they are finished. Can you show the post from Trump, Brett? What post was that? Oh, yeah, I think I might have it. I think I do have it in here, and I'll get to you. Trump drawn to the idea of Kharg Island capture as economic knockout of the Iranian regime. Let me blow this up. This is really good. So Donald Trump is reportedly considering the capture of Iran's primary oil depot. What does that mean? What does that look like? Not just the capture. We're going to secure the facility. Again, to the winner go the spoils. So we are going to be in control of all this. What is this going to look like? So now we have control of a very large-ass oil reserve, gas reserve, and we're going to what? Interrupt the balance? How is this going to affect Russia China and the East? So it says here the development comes amid continued blockade in the Persian Gulf, which is hindering Gulf oil and preventing Trump from ending the war. Even if it was desired to do so, Axios reported on Sunday, the island strategically important terminal situated 15 miles from Iran's coast handles nearly 90% of Iran's crude oil. I mean, they're done. We capture that. We control it. They're finished. We cut this off. Trump reportedly drawn the concept of seizing Kharg Island outright as it would lead to an economic knockout of the regime, a source told the publication. However, such a move could trigger Iranian counterattacks, which are already happening. So you're seeing it now in Qatar and Saudi Arabia. And they're going to probably hit other facilities all over the place as payback. On Saturday, Lady Graham, prominent critic of Iran, lauded Trump's decision to take the war to Kharg. If it was up to this guy, another idiot, let's just nuke him. These people are sick, twisted, and forecasted Iran's economy would be annihilated if it lost control. Okay, well, you want an unconditional surrender. They're not doing it. So we're going to take the oil and then basically squeeze them like we did with Venezuela. All right, but I don't think it's going to go on as long as Venezuela is. Iran's attempt to close the Strait of Hormuz is done at its own peril. President Trump's decision to take the war to Kharg Island, the crown jewel of Iran's oil and gas economy, was necessary. Now, what does this do? As long as the gas and oil industries right now are hedge funders, are trading this up and down, manipulating the prices, shorting the stocks, making it just basically untenable. The prices are going to go up, but what does this do here? How is this going to be reflexively looked upon? Is that we control the oil, we control the flow of oil, we control the Strait of Hormuz going forward. What is this? What does this look like, and how is this going to be perceived for the long-term futures of oil speculation? White House did not immediately respond to Benzingi's request for a comment. This was an excellent article, and I really like the way they were putting this out there and stuff. They were also signaling in some way, if you didn't see it or understand it, they are signaling the fact is that if we are to take the island, then it's it. Then it's pretty much over. They would have to surrender. And probably more troops would go there. I mean, if you're going to have 2,200 troops that are going to go there to secure the island, and what's on the island? You have military installations, you have clandestine bunkers, you have other things that are there that I don't know if they were destroyed, but not innocent civilians are there. It's mostly the IRGC. And because there was a strict policy that certain people could not go over there. So I don't know what's over there. We don't know what's over there, but they blasted it to hell. And whatever's left standing, probably just the oil reserves, the fields, what have you, we're going to go in and take it over. What do you think, Marshall?
I believe that Kharg Island is the keystone to this whole thing. And it makes it really easy. Mm-hmm. You just take that island, and then you can basically Cuba Iran. Mm-hmm. Because what you're doing is you're choking off their money flow. You know, I mean, Cuba's now like, they don't have any electricity. Right. I'm not saying it's going to be like that over in Iran, but it's going to essentially be the same type of method. That's what I'm getting, the vibe, the feel I'm getting from this whole thing. And it's a smart move. So it really is. I think I like what he's doing here. I really do.
Yeah, no, I like it too. I'm just trying to see where I was looking for what she was asking for, but I don't know
I think where he was talking about.
Yeah.
Was it
I thought I had it in
straight up Hormuz.
Yeah, I thought I had it in there. Maybe it'll pop up. It'll pop up, and I'll look at it. I just got so much more to get into. All right, let's move on. Let's continue on into other things right now. So a lot of things were happening today on the Hill with the Senate regarding, let's just say, Mark Wayne Mullins' time to become a new Secretary for Homeland Security. All right. And we also have what? We have the Senate oversight looking into, I don't know if it was the oversight or the intelligence, looking into the CIA, FBI. This was an intelligence update, and Tulsi Gabbard was on the hot seat. Senate Democrats get into a shouting match with CIA Director Trump's war against Iran, if not asking anyone. So before I play this, I'll just give you a brief understanding. Michael Bennett, the senator, got into a shouting match with the CIA Director, John Ratcliffe, on Wednesday over President Trump going to war with Iran. 19 days into President Trump's unauthorized war with Iran, and by which I mean there's been no congressional approval. At least 13 American service members are dead. And, you know, that's all. Remember, this is media. Don't pay attention to this stuff because President Trump, just like Obama and Bush, all these people, Biden, they all did the same things. So Bennett said, the Senate Intelligence Committee hearing with Ratcliffe and others, President Trump has offered no credible justification for the imminent threat, no clear goals, no strategy of the timeline. His messages keep changing. I think in really damaging ways. President Trump and Iran's nuclear facilities have been, quote, totally obliterated in 2025. But when he launched his latest war, he said, we need to eliminate the imminent nuclear threat, which is basically being put out there in some way that the president gets some type of briefing from his IC, all right, which is the chief would be the ODNI, which is the director. And they would present, these are all the things that President Trump sees, all right, on a daily briefing or all these updates, all right? And President Trump has to pick and address, they give him the option. All right. You don't think they tell him. He's basically going to be the dog and say, no, I'm going to pick what I think is what is eminent. And so this is what the fight is over. And they're blasting her for saying, but you're the one who handles the intelligence. But they forget that President Trump makes the final decision. Let's listen.
Senator Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that. Mr. Director Ratcliffe, you just described the specific campaign that the president is engaged in, the country's engaged in with respect to Iran. I think the campaign has been one, in my view, without a specific rationale for the American people. 19 days into President Trump's unauthorized war with Iran, and by which I mean there has been no congressional approval, At least 13 American service members are dead and many others are injured. President Trump has offered no credible justification for an imminent threat, no clear goals, no strategy or timeline. His message keeps changing, I think, in really damaging ways. President Trump said Iran's nuclear facilities had been, quote, totally obliterated in June 2025. But when he launched this latest war, he said we need to eliminate the imminent nuclear threat of those totally obliterated nuclear facilities. President Trump has threatened to seize Iranian oil and demanded our allies reopen the Strait of Hormuz. He said that I'm demanding that these countries come in and protect their own territory because it's their territory. It's the place from which they get their energy. By the way, he wasn't just asking for our allies to protect or to bail them out in the Straits of Hormuz. He was asking China to bail them out in the Straits of Hormuz. And then he said, maybe we shouldn't even be here at all because we don't need it. We have a lot of oil. And he said, we do not need the help of anyone. President Trump has declared we've won the war. We won it in the first hour. But then he said, we're not leaving until the job is finished. He said that there is practically nothing left to bomb, but then threatened to bomb Iran again, quote, just for fun. I think words that probably have never come out of a military leader in the history of the United States of America.
Are you fucking kidding me? This is such bullshit. I see people all the time. Nuke them. They're kill all these people. See, when you want to bitch and moan about what happened in Gaza, you know, oh, you get attacked. Oh my God. But they're saying right here, he can't say that. Oh, for fun. He is totally fucking with them. He is toying with them so big time right now. It's not even funny. And look how much smoke is being blown up this guy's ass. He can't even handle the rhetoric. Yes, he's giving demonstrative, conflicting, contrasting points of view. It's not just directed at them to keep them off balance, to keep the enemies off balance, but also to keep the media. Okay? And so they're focusing on multiple things, not just one thing they can just pick at over and over again. Let's continue.
It shouldn't come out of the mouth of a civilian leader. President Trump said he will end the war when I feel it in my bones. And anytime I want to end it, it will end. But, Director, the war is not ending. It is escalating with thousands of U.S. Marines reportedly sailing toward Iran on an unclear mission, a mission that's become less clear over days, not more clear. Our airstrikes wiped out Iran's missiles and supreme leader. Nobody here, and certainly me, is shedding a tear for him. But the Iranian people now live under martial law. And by the way, no surprise to our intelligence agencies that that's the case. And the first of a puppet leader who's chosen by the IRGC. No surprise that to anybody on the Intelligence Committee. Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz and is holding the global economy hostage. No surprise to anybody who knows anything about U.S. intelligence. Launching drones at our embassies and military bases. No surprise. The president is surprised. Nobody who has looked at our intelligence is surprised. Iran's nuclear program is damaged, to be sure, but it still has a uranium stockpile. We heard DNI at the very beginning of this conversation that the regime is in place and they are going to rebuild their military capabilities, the ones that we are destroying right now. The question I think is raised, Director, about your specific engagement is whether it will become a perpetual war, because what Iran will do is exactly what they have always done, and which the DNI is saying they will do again. In its briefings to the committee, the Intelligence Committee has been clear-eyed about what would happen in the Straits of Hormuz, has been clear-eyed about whether or not our military bases, our embassies, and our personnel in the region would be placed at risk and in harm's way, even though the administration did very little to protect them. I know, Senator, I know, Director Radcliffe, that you warned President Trump that if Israel assassinated the supreme leader, the IRGC would replace him with potentially a harder line puppet. In fact, I think what was clear is that the likelihood was that it would be a hard line puppet.
Gay one.
You disagree with that characterization of the intelligence?
To that specific question, what we knew was, first of all, I guess I have to address up front, so much of what you related in there, the difference between political rhetoric versus...
Not political rhetoric. I'm quoting the President of the United States.
Political rhetoric versus military...
Director,
the difference between that and military and intelligence execution. But here's the most important thing. You mischaracterized this as saying there aren't clearly defined goals. The defined goals are very clear. Degrade and destroy the missile inventory and drone inventory, delay and degrade the military industrial base. And factories that produce that, just degrade and destroy the IRGC Navy that could control the Strait. These are all defined goals that were set out specifically. The premise of the question is that...
time back, Mr. Chairman, I can't get a word in edgewise. He won't answer the question.
Hallelujah.
He's taking a minute of my time.
You're both big boys.
You
can
for
handle
fucking
yourself.
Okay,
6
well,
minutes.
Director, I agree that you are, and I appreciate what you're saying. And I'm not, my point is not what your characterization of the war is. My point is what the characterization, the commander
about regime change?
I'm not asking you anymore, Mr. Director.
So he's not asking him anymore. He just wants to tell him. He wants to set this up as a political, President Trump did everything outside the box. He didn't want to follow Congress and follow the rules and everything from the 1973 War Powers Act and all that other bullshit. All right. What they're pissed off is that he's kicking ass over there. All right. And they got to find every way they can to pick at this. Okay. To make it look like we're losing the war. The rhetoric is horrible. He's making things worse. He's impacting the debts. This is affecting the debts of the soldiers that are coming home. And he's making and painting a picture that people are watching is saying the intelligence community in itself is basically allowed President Trump to do this because they're the ones, all right, who put these objectives out and told him not to do it, when in fact, President Trump chose to do this, okay? This was his plan of action. This was set aside. He's isolating Iran from everywhere else, just like he's isolating Ukraine.
Yeah, and he's pissed off because they're disrupting their little apple cart. Because obviously he's got some skin in this little game that's going on over there. And he don't want to lose that control. Right. And of course his TDS has gotten to him. Yeah. I mean, he's definitely losing his shit. And Radcliffe, I don't know what's got into him. He looks like he's lost some weight and he's all energized. The guy's like a different person now, man.
Yeah, he's definitely, there's something up with him. He seems a little bit off. Thank you, Senor Polo, for the shades. He won't answer the question as he erupts him. Correct. All right. This is all a political hit job. They don't care about the Iran war, but they know if Iran goes down, we control the oil. This is going to be a huge win. All right. And I'll show you the polls and everything. Who else is here? Senor Polo, thank you again for the shades. My late fee. Who else is here? A boneless chicken. What's up? Thank you for the shades. Trump won. Thank you for the cookie and the other cookie. Let's get back to what we're talking about. Here's DNI Gabbard. Donald Trump was overwhelmingly elected by the American people to be our president, commander-in-chief. As a commander-in-chief, he is responsible for determining what is and is not imminent. Yep. And whether or not to take action he deems necessary to protect the safety and security of our troops. See, the Senate wants to say, no, it's the intelligence community. It's the CIA. It's the NSA. It's other groups that are the ones that tell President Trump where to go, where to hit. Maybe that was in the past, but that no longer works anymore. All right. And also the fact is there was something to say about the IC community. I mean, do you like Ratcliffe? Yeah, all right, I guess so. Right. I mean, you like Gabbard? Yeah. Okay. President Trump put these people there. He trusts them in some way, but they're not making the decision. He might not even have to trust the information. Let's listen to the rest of this. The Office of Director of National Intelligence is responsible for helping coordinate and integrate all intelligence to provide the president and commander-in-chief with the best information available. After carefully reviewing all the information before him, President Trump concluded that the terrorist Islamist regime in Iran posed an imminent threat, and he took action based on that conclusion. Now, what is to say that what he was presented with, what he was presented with did not say that. And he knew from other sources that they were. We already knew they had 400, grams or whatever it is, amount of enriched uranium, all right, that was still available, that wasn't destroyed when we hit them in June of 2025. There are other things there in some way that we're not knowing about, but the possibility in some way that particulars in the intelligence community outside of ODNI, and there are leakers, there are people there that are still doing shady things, and one of them could be basically limiting the information that goes to Tulsi's desk that she collects from all the intelligence community, all right? And they're streamlining this, and President Trump is like, no, we're doing this. It was probably on there. It probably wasn't number one. Maybe it was number 2 or number 3, Marshall.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to watch out for all these fake information people, and he knows that.
Right.
He's probably got people on the inside that we don't even know about that are giving him information, because it is really information to the president is key. And if he gets bullshit or he gets denied information, it really screws up everything. I think he's got other people besides the official people.
I think there too. I think you got to consider right now. You see the generals there. I think he's probably relying on DIA and other clandestine informants that are acting outside or inside this community and sourcing information and data rather differently than what's being, and I think so too. You got to consider the agencies, and this is people watching who's there and who's not there, and consider where all the other information is coming. I would consider that. And I think in some way, President Trump made a decision based upon what he saw and what he heard from other people that were outside this community. Now, I'm not saying Gabbard is doing anything wrong, but listen to what she said today. Gabbard defers to Trump when asked if Iran posed an imminent threat. Okay, she deferred to him. He's the president. The director of national intelligence, Gabbard, said that only the president can determine if a nation poses an imminent threat during a Wednesday Senate hearing on worldwide threats. Why it matters, the spotlight on Gabbard, who's been largely quiet about the U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran, has intensified after top aide Joe Kent, who directed the National Counterterrorism Center, announced his resignation in the scathing letter about the war, and we'll cover that. The White House said Iran posed an imminent nuclear threat, but offered no public proof. Hey, Joe Kent went on the Sean Ryan show and many other shows to suggest and actually placate to the idea that, hey, Iran is dangerous. Iran is dangerous. And we got to do something about them. He ran on that when he was running for Congress. He went from a Democrat independent to a Republican. Okay. So what flipped? What changed? We'll get to that. Senator John Ossoff asked Gabbard whether the intelligence community's assessment that the Iranian regime posed an imminent nuclear threat, to which she said the IC assessed the Iran maintain the intention to rebuild nuclear enrichment capabilities. Okay. She turns around and says, she replied, the only person who can determine that what is and what is not imminent threat is the president. It's not the intelligence community's responsibility to determine what is and what is not an imminent threat. Now, in the past, that may have been the case. But with Gabbard in there now as ODNI and President Trump there, things are different. And Gabbard said, going on to argue that it provides the input with the president that makes the decisions imminent threats. Ossoff disagreed. Thought bubble. Gabbard's contention that only the president can determine whether there is an imminent threat to the U.S. is surprising, coming from the head of an intelligence community, Axios national security editor Dave Lawler. See that? See how they're looking at this argument? They don't like the fact that the head of the intelligence community is not deciding for the president. Well, I didn't elect her, and I didn't elect all those other fucks. So why is Axios National Security Editor Dave Lawler freaking out that President Trump, the president, the person we elected not once, not twice, but 3 times, gets to pick and itemize what he deems as a necessary threat? Unbelievable. The balls of these people. While it's the president's decision whether to respond to a threat, the intelligence community frequently provides assessments of the severity of the potential threats to the homeland. In fact, Gabbard made these remarks in the hearing about the intelligence community. I'm not going to read the rest, but in some way, the idea, oh my God, the audacity, the president is determining what is a threat or not. Seriously, are you kidding me? That's what people have a stick up their ass about. They have a total stick up their ass because the president is determining what he deems as an imminent threat, not the IC community, not the NSA, not CIA, not any of these people. They put stuff together. They tell the president, brief him, and then he gets to pick this out. And they're only going batshit crazy because of Joe Kent's scathing letter, okay, which I think it's treasonous and seditious to do what he said. I mean, hell, you were the director of this national terrorism group, the NCTC, and you quit, all right? And then basically you said there's no threat from an eventual threat, and then there's no threat, and then it's an eventual threat. You went from one point of saying this to Sean Ryan and then changing your mind. Rather, I mean, what happened to this guy? Why are there so many people? And I'll say this, because you look at the accounts, there's a lot of Jew usurping accounts and America First crowd tripping so hard over this. I mean, I saw Jen Psaki siding with Joe Kent. I mean, can you imagine being on the side of that broad or any of these other people that are basically taking the side of Joe Kent? We don't know what happened. And I'm going to cover this right now because the Gateway Pundit put this out. Marshall, your thoughts?
Yeah, there is no way in my mind, thinking about it more and more, he has probably had his own shadow intelligence agency since his first term. And they've been looking, he gets fed all this, he gets it from them, but he is not relying on these government corrupt. And he's got good people at the top. But they're so full of people that leak, and this Kent guy, geez, this guy's not. I mean, I know you're going to probably cover more of it. I think it was good that he's gone.
Well, there's no doubt that his resignation happened during the time that he's going to be interviewed at this Catholic charity event, and then he's also going to be interviewed by Tucker tonight at 6 p.m. So this was planned. Now, whether or not he was told to be fired by the Trump administration, which we know or not, by Tulsi Gabbard, and it wasn't done, the question is, why wasn't it done? Was it to expose him as a greater leaker and source out the information where he was leaking to? That's typically how it goes. Thank you, One Thunder, for the can. I appreciate that. And a boneless chicken gift to the can. Thoughts on October 7th, Gaza, and Carrie Prejean? Well, Carrie Prejean has come out and attacked the administration quite vitriolically. And she has done this because now you could start to see, all right, what happened with her? At first, she had a great argument about how she was kicked off the board, this religious panel that was done, because her Catholicism didn't match up with the Zionism and the Christian Zionism that they're pushing on. And Paula White, had some choice words about her, and so they were conflicting. But now Carrie Prejean has gone off the reservation even further to push back against everything in the administration, the Iran war and other things, to rip Trump and everything. So you start to wonder, were these people infiltrators to begin with, where they were never Trumpers, or they're just so scorned and frustrated because she feels rejected by President Trump for not taking her back. October 7th in Gaza. Well, my feelings about Gaza are the same. I mean, they're just mowing down people. There's still bodies buried under this rubble and stuff, and I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, there's supposedly going to be They're going to clean this all up, recover all the bodies, all this other stuff. October 7th, that was an inside job. Even Charlie Kirk realized that was an inside job.
Absolutely.
I mean, so, nah, dog, not laugh out loud. I like how he bullied the senator for speaking on over him. Yeah, not giving him in a statement. Get some asshole. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Hillary Clinton, by the way, remember, she went on some show. We came, we saw her, we kicked ass regarding Gaddafi. She said that we killed him. She was bragging about it when they went over there and just took out Gaddafi. Remember that? I love how these people's they like to opine on this pompous way that they're holier than thou, and that President Trump is the only one who can't speak like this when they all talk like this. Okay? And he said we should just hit him for fun again.
Well, Gaddafi was one of the good guys.
Yeah, I know.
He was actually a good guy. I mean, he created the whole water situation where they were able to get water to grow. I mean,
Gaddafi, like the Iraqi leader at the time, who's saying
did a lot
we're
of
going to
good
switch
things for his people.
We're going off the gold. We're creating their new currency and not allowing a Federal Reserve or a central bank to come in to tell them and get off the petrodollar. That's basically their demise. That's what's happened. All right, so let's get the joke, Ken. We're going to fast forward this. He was a leaker who had been cut from the president's intel briefings. That's what we're told. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what we're told. Cannot good conscience support an ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat, blah, blah, blah. Kent wrote on X, splashing. Now, see, a guy like this should have kept his mouth shut. He didn't have to write the scathing letter, put this on social media. He could have took some time to walk away and did some, interviews. He could have went on Tucker and other stuff he's going on tonight. But what is he going to do? He's now going to rip the administration, trash Trump, and so the question is, was he fired and that he was allowed to resign? Seems to me, because if you're a leaker and you were caught months ago, they probably set up a termination time. They're like, this is the time you end, and we're already planning his time out. So Don Bacon, a Republican from Nebraska, was quick to celebrate. Good riddance. I'm not a Bacon fan at all. And Iran has murdered more than 1,000 Americans. Their EFP landmines with the deadliest in Iraq. Anti-Semitism is all evil I detest, and surely we don't want it in our government, he wrote on X. Senior administration official tells Fox Joe Kent was a known leaker. He was cut out of POTUS's intelligence briefings months ago. White House DNI told Gabbard he should be fired for suspected leaks. Why? Maybe he was fired, and we don't know. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we just don't know about this that led to this. How long was this going on? It seems to me it was quite a bit. Media reports Ken had been leaking information, was already marginalized in the Trump administration. So they caught him leaking, and what did they tell him? Stop, you're fired, you're going to sit this one out. And then all of a sudden now he started shooting his mouth off because he was pissed because he got caught. Intelligence officials tell the Daily Wire that it's true that Joe Kent was part of planning of the Iran war or briefings of the war. It's not true that DNI Tulsi Gabbard was asked by the White House to fire Kent. Okay, Mary Margaret Houlihan says, all right, a difference of opinion on Garrick's role came after Mary Margaret Houlihan of the Daily Wire. It's not true that DNI Gabbard was asked. Okay, the source says if she had been asked to do so, he would have been fired. All right, so they're defending her. President Trump said it's a good thing Kent left, according to Fox News. I read the statement. I always thought he was a nice guy, but I always thought he was weak on security and very weak on security, period. I didn't know him well, but I thought he seemed like a pretty nice guy. But when I read his statement, I realized that's a good thing that he's out, Trump said. All right, so what he's trying to do is he's trying to out these leakers, and he's trying not to put so much emphasis on them and allow them to go out in the way they're doing in some way. And if this guy was doing what he was doing, and he's now going to run to Tucker and Candace and all these other people to bitch and moan about everything, well, then good riddance. Good riddance. I mean, that's the last thing. Think about the first administration. How many people were leaking like a sieve in the administration? And so far, it's been pretty good. And now this guy got caught, and he was probably terminated. And this was his time to leave. If I didn't terminate Obama's horrible deal that he made with the Iran nuclear deal, you would have a nuclear war 4 years ago, Trump said. You would have a nuclear holocaust. You would have it all over again if we didn't bomb the site. Okay. I mean, look, this is the problem we're facing right now. The subterfuge that goes on all over the place. These people look good going in, but they smell like shit going out. And that's the bottom line. I mean, if the guy had any political ethics or he wanted to maintain any political, let's just say, viability, he could have quietly dipped out, all right, not said anything, kept his mouth shut, and then maybe later on down the road, not put all this stuff out. But it seems to me this thing was all planned and ready to go, Marshall.
Yeah, and that's just why I'm so glad that Trump has kept everything, his cards close to the chest.
Yeah.
He doesn't let anybody know what he's going to do for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have all this shit going out. It's spreading around.
Mm-hmm.
So he's running a very tight ship. And you may be right. I mean, I don't know what the deal is with this with Kent. This guy, he seemed solid at first.
Yeah.
But maybe it was by design, as you kind of alluded to. So, we'll see how it plays
Well,
out.
the defense of him, people are coming out, well, he's a bereaved widow. Is it a widower or a widow? No, widower.
Widower,
He's
yeah.
a bereaved widower because his wife was killed by ISIS. How many years ago was that? I'm sorry that she was killed. She was in the war too. And people are defending him. So if we're going to give Erica Kirk a pass, I saw this as opposed, then we're going to give him a pass. He's just grieving. He's just venting. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say, and I notice all the Jewish influencers, the usurpers, the accounts, they're all, yeah, because he pushed back on Israel. And so they don't like whatever. So that's why I say always don't put yourself or allow yourself, as I stated on Sunday, to be categorized, to be pigeonholed in some way. You can look at this contextually from your own viewpoint, from your own research, and not be a part of certain crowds. I don't want to be put in the same thing as Jen Psaki, who was applauding this. Well, he was leaking. I'm glad he got fired. No, he resigned. We don't know. I think he was allowed to be resigned. Let's listen to Newsmax on Higbee putting this out. Questions the information given to President Trump from the intelligence community after national counterterrorism. Joe Kent resigns. Let's listen to this.
Who gave Donald Trump that intelligence? I'm not blaming Trump. I'm not blaming Caroline Leavitt. They are probably giving us an honest assessment from where they sit. My question is the motive and who is behind the intel. Also, Mike Johnson today said something that perked my interest.
Where Joe Kent is getting his information, but he wasn't in those briefings clearly because the Secretary of State, the Secretary of War, and everyone, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Kane, they had exquisite intelligence, and we understood that this was a serious moment for us. Had the president waited, I am personally convinced that we would have mass casualties of Americans.
Joe Kent wasn't in that briefing? I mean, why? If Iran was an imminent threat, why was the director of the National Counterterrorism Center not in a briefing about preemptively striking the imminent threat of the #1 state sponsor of terror?
Because he was leaking.
Here's the question, though.
That's what I
believe that Trump made and will make the right decision based on information that he was given. I think he always will. That's why I voted for him 3 times. Mike Johnson probably is doing the same, but there is clearly a gap and a difference between what Joe seems to conclude based on the intel he has seen and what Mike Johnson and the president are being briefed on. How did that gap get there? And who is responsible for that gap? Is the president, the Speaker of the House, and others not being given fully accurate information? I mean, it's happened before.
Intelligence gathered by this and other governments leaves no doubt that the Iraqi regime continues to possess and conceal some of the most lethal weapons ever devised.
Weapons of mass destruction, huh? And after 20 years...
Now, I said this on Thomas's show yesterday. I put it out there on Sunday that they're trying to, in some way, make this cross connection between the Iraq war with WMDs. I said that we were going to do this. He's calling this out and saying it's an imminent threat. Joe Kent saying there's no imminent threat. It's all a lie. Okay. Who do you believe? I mean, does Joe Kent get to see all the intelligence that President Trump does? I doubt it. But let's just say for the sake of argument, it wasn't 1, 2, or 3. Because President Trump doesn't take his intelligence from a certain group of people. He gets his intelligence from other places. And you know what? I'm okay with that too. But you don't know. I don't know. Marshall doesn't know. And this guy, Higbee, he doesn't know. We don't know what they saw, what was written. All we know is that OD and I said, he's the president. He gets to make that choice. And that's what they cannot stand. Even if it was the wrong choice. And I'm not saying that or speculating that. They're claiming that. But the point being, they're trying to make it out is that the president doesn't get to pick and choose. Can you believe that? You give him a list and he has to pick from one in this? No. You point to where it's going to be done. That is what they're suggesting.
And they don't like it because they don't get to know what he's thinking.
Right. And they have no control. That's the other
right,
thing.
exactly.
Let's continue.
I spent 10 in and out of that whole region. Trillions of dollars, thousands of American lives. We found approximately 0 WMDs, making my point. Did the intel community feed the highest levels of our government false information to make decisions to do certain things? Did they also feed it to us to believe certain things? You bet they did. You remember Operation Northwoods? That was thankfully squashed and got the chairman of the Joint Chiefs fired. Had a plan to bomb our own military bases during the Cold War to blame the Cuban regime or the 51 former intel officials, many earlier in their career that went on alongside with that WMD talking point, who backed the false intel reports that the Hunter Biden laptop was not real. Turned out it was. The same ones that said Trump was a Russian asset that knew it was bad, partisan, and single-sourced intel, but was funneled to the top levels of the same intel community to spend $54 million investigating Trump for something that they all knew was complete BS. The same intel community that employed Peter Strzok, who promised his side piece, Lisa Page, that they would, quote, stop Trump from becoming president. Or this intel community.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
So is it a bridge too far to at least give consideration that Joe Kent might have thought the president was not getting all the correct info, and that's why he did this? I don't know, but I'm asking the question because something ain't lining up. He didn't do it for fame because I called him this morning and he's not doing any media right now. So before the internet and all the...
That's not true. That's not true right there. Maybe he's not doing that. He's going on Tucker tonight at 6 p.m. It's probably on now. He also has other interviews lined up. And what he said on the Sean Ryan show is completely opposite of what he's saying now. So what gives? What changed? Is it because he got pinched? And since he got pinched for leaking or he did something, he wants a little payback? Let's finish.
Foreign policy experts on Twitter weigh in. Have we considered all these things? I think the duration of this conflict and the next few weeks will determine some of these answers.
Your thoughts, Marshall? Wow.
Yeah,
a lot of people are asking over here. Nacy, I don't get the Joe Kent stuff at all, unless he was an infiltrator. Yeah, I said that earlier.
I think that's,
Tracer C4,
yeah.
if this show keeps going in and out on Rumble, let me know. 5x5 over here. You can go to YouTube. I'm over there, or you can go to Bill.net. But it doesn't seem like anybody else is saying it. Could be you. You could just, restart it or refresh it. But I have other platforms that you can go to if you're having problems on Rumble. Go ahead, Marshall.
Apparently, no, that's all right. Apparently, Kent is, he's not all what he's cracked up to be, because he made other posts that we've all seen. You've seen them on Twitter that were the complete opposite of what he's saying now.
Right.
And
well, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
they're not trustworthy, obviously.
Well, if you're going to go out like that and act like, you're going to burn your bridges on the way out. Well, then there you go. Like a spurned lover. That's the way it's coming off like in some way. And I don't know if he was getting paid or whatever. I mean, you're at a director's position. You know what I'm saying? You better have a different attitude about feeling this way. But if he's so, let's see what he has to say on Tucker. I mean, let's see. I mean, that's what we're going to have to wait and see. Let's listen to Glenn Beck. This is a guy who likes to wrap himself with the Israeli flag. In fact, he asked Israel to become a citizen, and they turned him down. Okay. So Joe Kent, a top counterterrorism official, resigned today, claiming that Trump was duped by Israel into starting a war with Iran. Listen to what he says here.
It has just happened that is
This was yesterday.
remarkably historic. I want to read it to you. President Trump, this comes from the Director of National Intelligence and National Counterterrorism Center, Joseph Kent. President Trump, after much reflection, I've decided to resign from my position as Director of the National Counterterrorism Center effective today. I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. I know this is so damaging. This is
a guy is saying is so damaging, but he asked Israel to be a dual citizen. They turned him down. This guy wraps himself with the Israeli flag. Don't trust this guy at all, Glenn Beck. But I want you to read how he reacts to all this stuff. And this is how many other people are particularly reacting to this because, again, it's about the Israel thing. They're not taking anything other than what Joe Kent said and throwing Israel in the mix and saying President Trump was forced to go into this war because of Israel. And that's why there's a lot of divisions all over the place. The Jew usurpers, the infiltrators, they're all happy. Like Mark Levin, he's probably jerking off about it. I mean, he's all over the place. You got a shit ton of other people in the same thing. But then you got people on the left, like Democrats, who do hate the Jews, who do hate Israel. And then you have other people in between the infiltrators on there, on X, and they're going through all this stuff too. And then you got the fake MAGA or the America First crowd. So there's a lot of people that he's maneuvering in and out that people are either liking him and accepting him or basically like, yeah, I believe what he's saying. Let's continue.
Pentagon Papers stuff. This is as important as the Pentagon Papers. This is going to possibly change the course of America. I support the values of foreign policies that you campaigned on in 16, 2020, 2024, which you enacted in your first term. Until June of 2025, you understood that wars in the Middle East were a trap that robbed America of the precious lives of our patriots and depleted the wealth and prosperity of our nation. In your first administration, you understood better than any modern president how to decisively apply military power without getting us drawn into a never-ending war. You demonstrated this by killing Soleimani and defeating ISIS. Early in this administration, high-ranking Israeli officials and influential members of the American media deployed a misinformation campaign that wholly undermined your American First platform and sowed pro-war sentiments to encourage a war with Iran. This echo chamber was used to deceive you into believing that Iran posed an imminent threat to the United States. This is incredible. You can say a lot of things, but to say that Donald Trump is a dupe and has been duped by a foreign power because he wasn't smart enough to figure it out is absolutely...
He's saying more than that. He's saying that Israel forced him to do this. That's what he's saying. Super D, thank you for the cookie. I see a curious cat. What's up? Welcome in. Yeah, here I am. Senor Polo, gift of the shades. Do you think they gave Kent fake info on Tucker to see if he's leaking? Tucker said he's being investigated. That's a good point. Was he the one talking with him? That's a good point. I don't know who Tucker was talking to. I don't know if anything's going to happen with Tucker per se. But I think a lot of that stuff is, kind of hyperbole to a lesser degree. I don't know what they know or not in some way. And I think Tucker might have been being utilized to find certain people. Maybe this is one of them. I don't know. But to play this up, it wasn't about his firing. It wasn't about his resignation. It's what he said now. He basically is saying that President Trump is not just being controlled. He wasn't duped into it. He's saying that they forced his hand into this war with Iran. That's what he's saying. And do you believe that? Does anybody believe that? I don't believe that at all.
And there's
as much as you and I don't like Israel, we don't like anything about the state of Israel. And the people that run it, the management, the whole group, from top to bottom, everything about that country, and you'll find out even more, stinks to high heaven. But to suggest it some way, because a lot of people are rolling on the idea, he went to war with this because of the Epstein files. See, that's the other level of nonsense that's all over the place, Marshall.
Yeah, it's this whole crowd online, and y'all watch them. Watch out for them online when they're on Twitter and they're making posts. Well, I'm not going to support Trump anymore because he's Israel first. He's MIGA. He's MIGA and all that. He's controlled by Israel. He's controlled. Do you think for 1 minute that you know all this shit that Trump doesn't know 10 times or 100 times more than you do? There's no way. He can kiss the wall all day long to play up look, believe what you want, but be careful of these people. I'm not telling you who to follow or not to, but if they're trying to sway you away, I'd be wary. Look up who they're,
that's why I stand my own ground, my own position.
Do your own thing.
I don't sit there and say, it's like, this or that. I go with that or that. No, I have my own position. Hey, there's a lot of people don't like Tucker, don't trust him. I like Tucker. You heard Thomas and I talk about him last night. Okay? I'm not going to, whatever. I like the fact that Tucker has people on his show. I'm looking forward to watching that conversation and see how Kent explains these things. But the way Glenn Beck was reading it and how the statement was read, you're putting that out there. And what you're doing is you're ginning up a lot of people to believe that this is because of Israel. Now, the question is, was this intentional? Was he made to do this in some way? Think about that. Again, the double blind.
Yeah.
Think about what I'm saying. Yeah. Think about this as a psyop in itself. He's basically coming out there and using Joe Kent to what? To broadcast this in some way, to play this up. President Trump was very kind in the Oval Office, or very kind when he was speaking with the Irish Prime Minister yesterday about this. You notice that? I don't know the guy. Seemed like a good guy. And then they say it was leaking, and that's about it. Tulsi Gabbard didn't really say anything much about it. 100% that Trump and among MAGA GOP is not an artifact of MAGA shrinking. It's just how strong Trump's grip is on the base. I think so, too. A lot of people that walked away, they were never there to begin with.
Yep.
And a lot of them are also being paid. They're grifters. All right. They're fake. And you got to also consider one thing. Who do they work for? I work for myself. I'm not getting paid sponsorships from anything. You're the one who supports the platform. So when I'm telling you that these people behind the scenes are getting paid from foreign nationals, not good. Not good at all. So expect where the money's coming from to understand where Kent's going to go. Let's play this.
Is one of those. Because just take a look here. MAGA GOP view of Trump. Approve 100%. 100%. If you are a member of MAGA and the GOP, you approve of Donald John Trump. 0% say that they disapprove. You don't have to be a mathematical genius to know you can't go higher than 100%.
The GOP view of Trump.
Miami Dolphins. Now, there are some Republicans who disapprove of Donald John Trump, but they are not members of the Make America Great Again movement. The bottom line is this. If you are a member of MAGA, you approve of Donald Trump.
It's interesting, though, because there have been a couple prominent people who have sort of come out online, and they're very mad about this war with Iran because he promised no new wars. Is there any sign that people might be leaving MAGA relative to 2024?
Yeah, okay. So, I've said it before, and, the theme of this segment is Tucker Carlson be darned. And when we look at the numbers, I mean, I've heard some people say, oh, you know what, when you look at those MAGA numbers, it doesn't account for those who might have left MAGA. But take a look here. Americans who identify as MAGA, in November of 2024, it was 28% of Americans. Now it's basically the same. If anything, it's slightly higher at 30%. The bottom line is this: the MAGA base within the GOP is not shrinking. It's the same size. If anything, it is slightly larger than it was back in 2024 when, of course, Donald Trump won a second term. So that 100% that Donald Trump has approval among MAGA GOP, that is not an artifact of MAGA shrinking. It's just an indication of how strong Donald Trump's grip is on that MAGA base.
Yeah, he's taking over the GOP. That's what you need to infer from what he is saying. He's saying the GOP, the old guard, is moving aside. They're stepping down. They're resigning. And the new people that are inside, let's just say, he said 100%, but 30% in that plurality is what's rising through their taking hold, let's just say, coveting the group with new ideas and new thoughts, Marshall.
Yeah, and this is that right there, and others that are coming out about this, these polls, that has got to scare the shit out of the cornines of the world of GOP. All these old, they got to be like, you know what? I got to get my shit together, get whatever money I can get, my pension or whatever, and get the fuck out of here because they're done. It's over. And all these fake people that are online saying, I'm done with MAGA. I'm done with MAGA. Don't listen to them, guys. Don't listen to them. Listen to yourself, like Brett said.
Yep. Keep an eye on yourself. Don't, like I said, don't get sucked into their world. You could still have your opinion, still have your points. You could still differ with a lot of things, but I'm not going to get sucked into. I'm not going to sit over there. Oh, wow. Mark Levin is happy Kent's gone. I don't like Mark Levin. So, I mean, at all. So I could give two shits about what that motherfucker says. Okay. I am only reading in between of what I see of what happened with Kent. And this whole thing that Kent could have been a psyop, I'm not inferring that, I don't even have proof of that. But President Trump was very light in his gloves. Usually he comes out swinging hard and attack people. He didn't. I think because he knows Joe Kent is likable. But I think as this continues on, we'll find out more information about that. Half of Americans believe Trump bombed Iran because of Epstein files. Here it is. The posters cover walls across D.C. Trump war in Iran is not Operation Epic Fury. It's Operation Epstein Fury. Another sign, shows a picture of American servicemen killed in conflict standing in front of the Stars and Stripes. Cody Kharg did not have to die fighting in Iran for Epstein class. It reads, wow. 4 days before the bombing in Iran, February 28th, the report revealed the Department of Justice removed more than 50 pages of interviews about Trump. But they released 50,000 more pages, and then they had more people testify, including the accountant who said, yeah, I don't know anything about President Trump. He wasn't in any of these things, any of these discussions with Epstein, so I don't know what you're talking about. Was it a coincidence that Trump decided to bomb Iran when the Epstein's files threatened him to expose him? I'm not going to go on with this, but that's how they're portraying it. There's a swath of people out there who are now against Trump because of the war, and they're also attacking him because of the Epstein. And I think the overarching thing is they're blaming him for the war because of Epstein. They feel like they've been let down. No new information is relevant. Now, she was just subpoenaed to be there on the 14th, April, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, by the oversight to answer questions regarding a lot of other things that were unearthed. And the question is, all right, well, how much longer are they going to continue on bringing her there to find out new relevant information? Because we're going to get to that. Wood USA dropping 817 gold pills. Need more gold pill love. Support the boy stream. Thank you so much. Trump one, thank you for the cookie. And Super D, thank you for the cookie. You can like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a gold pill, comments, questions, and concerns. You can help out Marshall, ko-fi.com/surfdog74. Go ahead.
If they think that the Epstein files is going to create some kind of a war in Iran, they are so disconnected. The Epstein files have been around forever.
Yeah.
This could have happened under Obama. It could have happened under Biden. It didn't. And now all of a sudden it's relevant.
Well, they're using this. This is a red herring. They're using this in some way to suggest this at one level when, in fact, President Trump has been transparent. You didn't get the Epstein files under Obama. You think Hillary Clinton would release them if she was president? How about Biden? How come he didn't release them? Because he wasn't the president. He wasn't even in control. The auto pen was. And the fact is, what about Bush? I mean, all this stuff was happening around that time.
It's weak thinking, Brett. It's
a terrible argument to make.
Really.
Yeah. I mean, they use that in some way to wag the dog. That's what they're saying, that this is a wag the dog moment. Let's play this a little bit. Listen to this.
We're down lower than we've been in 7 years. Gasoline prices and oil prices, not just the 3 states that I talk about with $1.99 a gallon. How would you like to have $1.99? That's the equivalent of a very major tax cut.
Welcome back. Now, that was President Trump in Pennsylvania back in December, touting low energy and gas prices. Today, the average price for a gallon of gas in Pennsylvania is $3.76, according to AAA. That's higher than last week, and it's up more than 60 cents from a month ago. NBC News senior national politics reporter John Allen has been speaking with Pennsylvania voters. He's been out kind of on a road trip here in Millersburg, about 25 miles north of Harrisburg. He joins me now. And John, I understand you're sort of in a Trump supportive part of Pennsylvania, and there are a lot of those in Pennsylvania.
You notice they don't do this when Biden was there. They didn't do this with Biden. They didn't. But they purposely single out Trump because he calls out that I can get gas prices lower, and they are going down. I can get this lower and stuff. But they were super high. Everything was expensive during the Biden regime. And you know what? It wasn't called out until towards the end, and then Trump was getting all the blame for it. And I think it's funny and hypocritical, but listen to this.
Are you hearing about how people there are feeling about gas prices, and are they factoring that into how they view the war in Iran?
Well, first, Kelly, I would be remiss if I did not wish Kelly O'Donnell a happy St. Patrick's Day.
Right back at you, my
friend. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Christ.
I'm genetically required to be in
Pennsylvania.
I know.
And,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, John. You're on the road.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm in Millersburg, Pennsylvania. The reason I'm here is it's a swing district, Pennsylvania's 10th district. In a swing state, President Trump won this district by about 5 points, but the local congressman, Scott Perry, is in danger of losing in the midterms. And we wanted to talk to people about their feelings about gas prices, about the war. You mentioned Pennsylvania's average gas price, about $3.76 a gallon here.
It was a great decision. I think somebody else should have done it a couple of years ago, the last 3 other presidents.
Are you willing to pay higher prices at the pump if that's the cost?
Yeah, I'm willing to pay a little more. Yeah.
What do you think about the war?
I think he's doing the right thing. In the long run, it's
they don't like it.
Help us out.
No.
If they get nuclear weapons, we might not even be here in a couple of years. So I think he's doing a good job.
Is it worth the rise in the price of gas?
Yeah, I think so.
What do you think about the U.S. decision to go into Iran?
I think we got to do what we got to do to keep this country safe.
Yeah.
So, and if it means paying a little bit more in gas right now to keep everybody safe, then that's what we got to do. And eventually they'll come back down.
And Kelly, most of the people we talked to were supportive of the war and willing to pay let's take a listen to one more woman who we spoke with. If you could say something to President Trump and he was going to hear you right now, what would it be?
You are a worthless pile of
And you voted for him how many times?
3 times. That was my bad. Apparently, I'm an idiot.
So not
lots
everyone
of
is thrilled with
personality there,
President Trump,
John.
as you
Lots
heard,
of personality. Yes.
Right. Not everyone's thrilled with him. That was a voter who voted for him 3 times. She went on to talk about the gas prices.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm just wanted to show you that in some way because all the people on X, a plant. Good one. Yeah, retard. Yeah, she's going to turn into a Karen. She's going to lose her shit.
That guy didn't miss the donuts at the fucking gas station either, man.
Newsom raised our gas to $8.60. Yeah, he raised the gas. I mean, it's lawlessness out there in California.
And the gas companies, Brett, they're doing this is really the gas prices shouldn't be this high, but the gas companies, I believe, they're using the war as a way to,
Well, yeah, there is no doubt about it. The manipulation, it's not, it's over speculation. They're trying to do it in an emergency. All this stuff is purposely being driven up because they have the people that, let's put it this way, that sit on these hedge funds.
Yep.
That basically pick and choose the futures. They bet on these things. And so they're shorting everything right now, and they play the long game. All right. And that's why the numbers are up. And they're saying for weeks, the numbers are going to be high. We'll top out at 5 in some places, maybe more, because it's going to go to $150 a barrel in some way. All right. Let's see what happens this weekend. We take back the island, Strait of Hormuz. It was 90 ships that move in. You understand there's like millions of ships that supposedly are stranded that go through the Strait of Hormuz. And we don't know what's actually taking place there. When President Trump is asking for other countries, when he said China, well, China gets 40% of their oil from Iran. So you'd think they'd want to be there and participate, to secure this
where's
stuff.
China?
South Korea, North Korea. You'd want to think in some way these countries that get a lot of their stuff from there out from the East, there you go. Let's play this. So House Republicans warns Trump GOP civil war if President Trump withdraws from NATO. Can you believe this shit?
Loss of trust with our NATO allies right now. We have a lot of work to do to repair this loss of trust.
Is he wrong when he says that he can leave NATO without Congress?
And he's wrong. And maybe since you ask, if he broke up NATO on his own, it would be a civil war in the Republican caucus, or the conference. Most of us would find that totally unacceptable, and I'm not alone. There's a large group of us that believe in our alliances and standing up for freedom and pushing back on China and Russia. We don't want war with these guys, but you got to be strong. And if he went in and somehow destroyed or tore up NATO, it would probably destroy the party for many years. There would be many that will never forgive that.
It would destroy the Republican Party.
I think it would implode.
Now, like I said, this is a double blind that he's doing. It's a manipulative communication strategy where an individual or group is forced into situations with no clear positive way to respond. And I think that's one example of what Don Bacon is. And Don Bacon is a rhino cock. So don't listen to what he says. All right. I think by sending the conflicting messages out there and making this so, he's putting NATO on blast and saying, wait a minute, we're funding you. We're keeping this coalition alive. We're keeping this transference of laundromat going, of wealth. And yet you hear Don Bacon say, it'll cause a civil war in the Republican Party. Good. Let it. You know why? Because they're probably getting kickbacks from that. Ever think about that? Most likely. What do you think about the Ukraine war? Absolutely. That's the whole point. That's why they would be up in arms. All right. Because they know the money would be cut off. And that's what it's all about. It's nothing more relative than that. It's simple greed. And that's the bottom line. And they know they're getting all their pork and all their candy from the back end. So that's why I don't listen to this shit. And President Trump can cut off the funding. Now, the Senate, by law, they're the ones who ratify treaties. They're the ones who abolish treaties. And in this case, something like that, the Senate would have to vote on it in some way. But President Trump, just like the UN, you just don't have to fund it. And it goes away on its own. It will dissolve on its own path. It's the same thing as this. If you stop paying into it, that means other people will stop paying into it as well. And you know what? It dries up and goes away.
Yeah, you let them die on the vine. And then all this whole thing, we're seeing, and we right in our front of our face, we are seeing a total shakedown of the entire Capitol Hill, Congress, the Senate, all of it's being shaken down. It seems slow, but they are shaking in their boots. There's a whole lot going on with this. There's so many facets to all this that's happening. We're seeing a reshaping of our entire government, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Here we are. Chaos Coordinator put this out. He's not isolated. He's forcing them to join him, even though he doesn't need them. which on the world stage would legitimize our presence there. If they deny, then they are not reliable shipping partners or allies. Wheat from chaff at real Donald Trump. It's the most elegant and strategic box I've ever seen created. I couldn't have done it better myself. Donald Trump asked the world to join a multinational naval coalition to keep the Strait of Hormuz opening. All these countries are all NATO countries except for China. Okay? All of them. And they all rejected. China's no response. America looks increasingly isolated. Yep, appear weak when you look strong, art of war. But it's more than that. He's setting themselves up. He knows full well they're on blast here, that they're not going to participate. And the world will look at them as weak. China should be there, especially if they're getting all their oil, 40% of it. And also, when you think about what he's doing and stuff, he's letting them know, if you choose not to do this in any way, when we take over the island and we control their oil reserves, their wells, what have you, that island in general, where their energy source is, their main hub, that means we control the Strait of Hormuz. And that means you're going to be paying us a fee to travel through there. And I think he's going to renegotiate this. They're going to keep this island. I think so. They're going to keep the oil. They'll probably share it with the people like they're doing with Venezuela. And I think you're going to have something completely different, Marshall.
That Brett, that is a huge point that you just made right there. Where's China? I mean, they're supposed to be, they got this Navy and this and that and the other. Why aren't they there? Why aren't they in the Straits of Hormuz?
Aren't they the allies, or the Axis allies of...
Yeah. What's going on with that, man?
Yeah.
That is a very, very good point. People should think about that one.
40% of oil comes from Iran to China, and they have not responded. You have to ask yourself, what is going on? None of these countries want to participate, and yet we spend billions of dollars to keep NATO afloat when they don't want to come to our aid whatsoever. It's not recognizing if we're attacked in the future. It's recognizing we have been and we always will be alone. They only need us when they need money, or they need weaponry, or they need this, or they need that. They're not there for us. You think Canada is our ally? Come on. No way. Mexico? No way. All they are parasites. Okay? That's why when we're discussing what's going to happen, like I guess an article came out, and I think Thomas covered it yesterday, about Venezuela becoming a 51st state. President Trump tweeted that out with the
that was great.
And the one thing he yelled out statehood, and I think I said there was a lot of upsides to Venezuela becoming, I think, a state. A lot of positives there. They offer
a great idea, man.
But Cuba does not. Cuba, you're going to have to go in there and let's just say remodel it. Put it in that context. That's a fixer-upper. All right? You're going to have to go in there, gut it out, remodel it. You have to make sure the animals that are outside. You don't know if these people. I mean, it could be very dangerous people over there. We don't know what's going on. You're gonna have to send in a whole new thing. President Trump asked the president to step down today. If you want our help, you have to step down and step aside. Okay, here we are. This is a 1986 November Wall Street Journal. Israel said to have weapons to Iran since 1981. Remember the Iran-Contra? Let's read this. So let me put it up. The Reagan administration, if you can read it, let me blow this up a little bit more. I think that's good. The Reagan administration was known about the given tacit approval for Israeli arms sales to Iran since 81. Wow. According to the current and former administration and intelligence officials, Israel made the sales to Iran and other countries with the understanding that Washington would replace the weapons in Israel's stockpiles, said the sources, all of whom insisted on anonymity. According to the intelligence sources, in 1981 and 82, Israel sold the Iranians tires and brake assemblies for the F-4 jet fighter and other spare parts, as well as light weapons, ammunition, and radar equipment. Now, this is our enemy, Iran. What happened with 79, the hostages, and our ally is selling them weapons. Let's continue. So, U.S. weapons that was acquired during the rule of the late Shah, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, who was ousted in 79. The U.S. acquiescence to Israel sales never was explicit in 81 and 82. No papers approving the sales were prepared or signed, and thus the action was cloaked in layers of deniability. The White House didn't officially sanction the Israeli sales to Iran until last fall. This year, the U.S. sold TOW anti-tank and Hawk anti-aircraft missiles to Iran. But if top U.S. officials knew about Israeli arms sales to Iran almost since the early days of the Reagan administration, it suggests that the roots of the administration's Iranian crisis go much deeper than last week's debacle, resulting in the resignation of National Security Advisor John Poindexter. Remember, this is the Reagan administration, and the dismissal of National Security Aide Lieutenant Colonel Ollie North. This is Iran-Contra. And all for years, there have been murky reports of Israel arms sales to Iran. Administration officials have said their involvement didn't start until late last year. Indeed, Secretary of State George Shultz had suggested that he had only a fragmentary knowledge of any U.S.-approved arms shipments to Iran until a few weeks ago. Pentagon officials have said Secretary of Defense Caspar Weinberger also wasn't fully informed. So a lot of people inside the Reagan administration knew nothing of this, as early indication of the U.S. acquiescence to Israeli arms sales to Iran surfaced in October of 82 in a little notice interview that then Israeli ambassador Moshe Arens gave to the Boston Globe. The Israeli diplomat acknowledged that Israel, in coordination with the U.S. at almost the highest levels, had been supplying arms to Iran. Subjects and items were discussed with the U.S. and almost at the highest levels, Ms. Arens declared. I'll stop it right there. I might put this in the chat. You should read this, because then you'll understand a lot of people's fervor and frustration with Israel. They cannot be trusted. We can't trust them. When any opportunity, they can make side deals and profit off those side deals, while we, in turn, make sure that we replenish their arms in accordance while they're funding or allowed to be fund our enemies. It's just disgusting. And we go to war in some way. So if this is something what Mr. Kent was talking about, all right, and suggesting, and then you read this, you wonder what's going on per se. Now, I'm not implying Kent is right or wrong. I mean, he might be being used as a dupe himself. And I think that in some way you have to consider that. But understand who Israel is, all right? If they're such a threat, Iran, why were they selling them spare parts for jets and anti-tank and other stuff back during that time with the head tip and nod of the administration during the Reagan administration? It's just shocking in some way. While we send them money and arm them to the teeth, which they probably stole nuclear weapons during the Kennedy administration and other material along the way during the 80s and 90s. It's almost embarrassing in some way. And there are people that feel that Israel is the greater threat because they already have nukes. No other country in that region has nukes. So the idea was an imminent threat or something that was cascading, or they were eventually going to be allowed. I think ultimately whatever turned out to be with the $1.7 billion pallets of cash that were shipped on a plane, sent to Iran by a Muslim who was impersonating a president of the United States from Kenya. Also, you got to consider a letting go of $16 billion of oil that was allowed, of cash oil, petrodollar money, allowed to go out to Iran into their coffers of their bank account because we seized those assets by the Biden administration. So ask yourself, right, whatever you think about how this was, all right, Iran, they're no good anyway. I mean, I look at Israel as no good either in some way, too. I don't look at it as any different. I think Joe Kent in this matter, in some way, was either being utilized or used, was leaking, and this leak was going back and forth, and it was to follow the leak. But to put out these statements in some way, and then the preface, Israel, is what got him in trouble. So the question is, when you see Carrie Perjean kicked off a panel where she has to adopt or accept Christian Zionism, when you see Joe Kent fired probably or resigned because of his claims about Israel, and all these other things that are being purported out there in some way, you're getting a clear understanding in some way that a lot of people are putting in their head that this administration is completely and wholly captured by Israel. I'm not saying that, but that's how they look. And then you throw the Epstein files in there. That's the wag the dog distraction to cover up for all the other stuff, because they want to say that President Trump is being blackmailed. All right. That is the perception management that is driving this all over the place. And that's why the Democrats are up. They're up and raw about the fact is that he gets intelligence briefings. He reads these briefings and he decides on his own. See, they want to pinpoint that's not the case. Marshall, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I remember this. I mean, you were probably about 10 years old. I was about 18 or so. I remember this. And they made a hero out of the one guy, I forget his name.
Yeah, about 10 or 11. You're right.
Yeah, and look, this shows how much power and control they had.
Right.
Now, the reason they're all losing their shit is because finally they've lost it. It's all Trump knows what's going on. He has known for many, many years since Reagan. Even though Reagan was a great president, they still had him, in a pigeonhole, so to speak. And now here we are.
Right.
And they're losing their shit over it, Brett. That's it.
So Newt Gingrich comes out. This is another Mediaite, and I like Mediaite only because it's so left-leaning progressive that you can only do is laugh at these things. I mean, it's just crazy hysterical stuff that they put out there. So it says ex-GOP honcho says Trump should drop a dozen nukes. This is Newt Gingrich. Shared an explosive idea to reopen the Strait of Hormuz that was essentially closed by shipping Iranian. The narrow passageway is the conduit for up to 30% of the world's total oil consumption and 20% of global liquefied natural gas. So, yeah, let's drop a couple of nukes there. Although he hasn't been seen in public since become Iran's supreme leader, Khomeini, to use the lever of blocking the Strait of Hormuz to keep the enemy highly vulnerable. President Trump has urged allies like France, South Korea, Japan, and UK, as well as China, to send more ships through the strait and police the area. But Gingrich posited the idea would be much better to open the strait with a nuclear attack. Instead of fighting over a 21-mile bottleneck forever, Gingrich said, we cut a new channel through friendly territory. A dozen thermonuclear detonations, and you got a waterway wider than Panama Canal, deeper than the Suez, and safer Iranian attacks. This is the thinking. This is the thought process in some way that you have. I mean, if it didn't get any worse than batshit Lindsey Graham. I mean, you got to throw this guy in there. This guy, they call him the brain, and I don't Big Bird, more like, not brain.
No, it's ridiculous what he's saying. And what benefit would that have to us? What is the benefit? There is none.
Yeah.
We don't get oil. As Trump mentioned, we don't get, this is not in our wheelhouse, really. We're just there to break up the whole we're just here to break up this conglomerate, this global mafia is what I call it.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead.
Here's what I think this is what you wanted, Trump won. This is Pepe Deluxe put this out. Let's leave NATO. The United States have been informed by most of the NATO allies that they don't want to get involved in a military operation against the terrorist regime of Iran. The Middle East, this despite the fact that almost every country strongly agreed with what we were doing and that Iran cannot in any way, shape, or form be allowed to have nuclear weapons. I'm not surprised by their action, however, because I've always considered NATO, where we spend hundreds of billions of dollars per year protecting the same countries, to be one-way street. We will protect them, but will they do nothing for us, in particular in a time of need? Fortunately, we have decimated Iran's military. Their Navy is gone. Their Air Force is gone. Their anti-aircraft and radar are gone. And perhaps most importantly, their leaders at virtually every level are gone, never to threaten us, our Middle Eastern allies, or the world again. Because the fact that we have so much military success, we no longer need or desire NATO countries' assistance. We never did. Likewise, Japan, Australia, South Korea. In fact, speaking as president of the United States, by far the most powerful country anywhere in the world, we do not need help from anyone. Thank you for your attention for this matter. So he's putting them on blast, letting them know that you're useless, all right? That we can't count on anybody, but everybody, leans into us. as the parasites they are for everything they need, and nothing changes. Here's something I want to show you. This
it's a dissolution of NATO now. It's done.
Well, this is a good one. I saw this guy put this up there. GBPH, he says he called it Iran conflict being used to dismantle EU and NATO. President Trump says now considering pulling the United States out of NATO after he refused to help. Yeah, I mean, that's what we've been talking about. I've said that the EU will lean into NATO, and this will cause this breakup. I believe NATO may want to help in some way, but they are being forced by the EU that runs the continent, that oversees NATO per se, if you really think about it. All right, they're the power brokers in some way. They're the ones saying, no, we don't want you to help. Yeah. And I think this also comes out at lashing at President Trump in regards to the tariffs that were taking place.
Well, and plus the new coalition that he created.
Yeah.
I forget what they call it, but the new coalition. So
you mean the Shield of Americas?
I believe that, yes. And this is a whole shift.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I mentioned earlier, it's a complete shift out of everything we've previously known over the last 60 years.
Yes, Nancy Guthrie case. Yeah, whatever happened to her?
Yeah.
Perfect time. Board of Peace. Exactly, the Board of Peace.
That's it.
Is that what you're talking about, the Board of Peace?
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, in order to have peace, you have to have war. I mean, you couldn't have peace in the region unless Iran was neutered. I mean, that's obvious. I mean, I don't know why anybody thinks otherwise. I mean, how could you not think that? I'm just going to read a part of this because this came out, Liberty Nation News. I like their stuff. On the brink, long national nightmare for Cuba is almost over. I think so, and I can't wait for this to happen. This is going to be really beneficial to the United States. The end is nigh. I actually had a show with that title. Make no mistake, the Cuban government is running on empty and can no longer survive unless it makes a deal with President Trump. This is not a hope, but a reality. And as a deal maker in chief, the president will squeeze as much blood from the communist rock as possible. The golden goose will be a return to market capitalism and repatriation of those among estimated 2 million Cubans who have fled the country since the revolution and desired to return to their native land. Beyond the rebirth of freedom and happiness in the island paradise, the benefits of a free Cuba are numerous. A land that once prospered, many prosper again. With the well-documented entrepreneurial spirit and determination of Cubans unleashed after 67 years of darkness. Its newfound coziness by necessity with the United States will eliminate another base of operations for Iran, China, Russia, and the Western Hemisphere, just as with Venezuela. And unbeknownst to most Americans is that in addition to its stunning coastal landscape and its sugar, cigar, and coffee industries, yes, Cuba is rich in natural resources, including nickel, cobalt, chromium, and iron ore. It also produces petroleum and natural gas, though not nearly enough to operate the country. The historical consequences of liberating Cuba can be hardly overstated. As with Trump's previous operations in Iran and Venezuela, generations to come will read and study about this turning point for Western civilization. The president says he will resolve the situation in Cuba once he completes Operation Epic Fury. I just can't wait for it to happen. And it's probably not going to happen. You figure even if this war is going to end sometime by Easter, you figure we're not going to see anything matriculate on into maybe May, end of May, maybe at the end of Memorial Day weekend or something like that going into the summer. And I think that's where we're but, as soon as this is done, whatever that means done, we'll see what happens thereafter. All right.
I think Venezuela and Cuba are two key factors for us.
Mm-hmm.
That we have that island in some way or form, Cuba and Venezuela.
Right.
That will really solidify our hemisphere for security and all that. I think it's a great plan what he's got going on.
I think so too. So these faggots want more endless desert war? Joshua White, what faggots are you talking about? What desert war? All right, let's continue on. Here's Dr. Paul. Is he a pussy? Let's listen to what he says. He sounds kind of snarky. He sounds like he's on the rag. It sounds like in some way this guy can't get over himself. He wants an apology. and he's not getting one.
So much that you approved of violence against me, people could just write it off. Well, maybe they hate each other. But really, there's a pattern of this. Let's go ahead and roll the tape.
You know where to find me, any place, anytime, cowboy. Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big guy.
Oh, stop it.
Is that your solution, everybody?
Now, this guy is his friend and was at his confirmation hearing right behind him while they were playing this. And you can hear the guy laughing behind him. This is Rand Paul. Petty. I mean, I just don't know what to say. What a weasel.
Short man.
No, sit down. Sit down. Look at you. You know, you're a United States Senator. Sit down.
Active.
Oh, okay. Sit down, please. All right.
Can I respond, Mr.
Hold
Chairman?
it. Hold it.
If he got up too, would you have gone at it right there in the hearing room?
I would have probably jumped over the dais at that point. You have to be called out on it. If not, this guy continues to get away with this stuff. And it's just, you know, it's silly, it's stupid, but every now and then you need to get punched in the face. Well, go back to the 1800s and 1700s. They used to have canings.
And duels. And they used to have
And
duels.
Right. And there was a way that men used to settle the differences. I ignored him 4 times prior to that. And people say, yes, you're supposed to ignore it. Well, you know, I'm not a very good Christian. I try to be a good Christian. And I know people say you're supposed to turn the other cheek. I prefer the David method.
But we need to move from an almost.
And by the way, I'm not afraid of biting. I will bite.
Biting?
I'll bite, honey. Yeah. I'm in a fight. I'm going to bite. I'll do anything. I mean, I'm not above it. And I don't care where I bite, by the way. It just is going to be a bite.
In hindsight, any regrets?
No, I really don't.
So no regrets. In fact, even after your anger had cooled, you were still bragging that if he'd only been brave enough to stand up, you'd have jumped over the dais and taught him a lesson, because that's how men should settle their differences.
I mean, honestly, he's right behind him. And the guy and him are friends. It's just embarrassing in some way that Rand Paul brought that up because he's a no vote. And he honestly, I don't know what any now that you could see right now between Massey and this guy, there's no opportunity that they'll ever vote for anything that President Trump wants or puts out there. And that's why they got to go. And I'm sick of Rand Paul, man. I mean, he's such a baby. This guy gets beat up when he's on his lawnmower. All right. And he's talking about how he went through this horrible time and stuff like that. And, you know, he just made a quip and stuff, you know, and he didn't apologize about it. You know, he didn't show empathy either, but he's like, you know what? It's not like they got along together at all. Now, the question is, was Rand Paul correct in saying this? Because there's a lot of people who don't like this guy, this Mark Wayne Mullen. And I'm going to play it for you.
Republican Mark Wayne Mullen. He told us about his conversation with a
if you look up here,
police officer who fatally shot a woman in the Capitol.
I guarantee you, I don't know for a fact, but I guarantee you he's never had to pull his weapon in a manner like that before. He was the last person in the world that ever wanted to use force like that. And he wasn't wanting to do that. I know for a fact, because after it happened, he came over and he was physically and emotionally distraught. And I actually gave him a hug. And I said, sir, you did what you had to do. And I mean that. Unfortunately, the young lady, her family's life has changed, and it was an unfortunate situation that she lost her life and some people lost their loved ones. But the lieutenant's life has also changed too, because if it's the first time you've ever had to use lethal force, that doesn't ever leave you. And it wasn't his choice. He didn't show up to work that day to have to do that. He was doing his job, and he got put in a situation where he had to do his job because there was members still in the balcony. And if you're going to present your weapon in a manner and give commands and they still don't listen and they still approach, you don't have a choice, because either you have to, at that point, discharge your weapon in a manner of self-defense, or that weapon's going to be taken away from you. It's going to be used on you, and it's going to put all of our lives in change.
So there's a lot of people that were pushing back who don't like him and saying that he comforted and hugged the cop who shot Ashley Babbitt. So, you know, is this one of the reasons why Rand Paul is going after him, or is there another reason why? Marshall, your thoughts? I think I got one more, and then we'll do.
I didn't know that about this guy. I mean, that's not good.
He seems to rub a lot of people the wrong way. And
know where he got that from. The lady had no weapons.
yeah, True Terran says he liked the blonde behind Dr. Paul. Yeah, she was pretty. I saw that.
I'm sorry. I almost, you know what, man? This whole shit in Congress. This is why people hate Congress.
Yeah.
They get up here and they act all bravado like it's some. Look, I don't want to look at a street fight.
Yeah.
I'm not here to pay you all this fucking money to look at your street fight. I'm looking to get shit done.
I think Rand Paul, in some way, is a petty little man, though. I think he is.
That's true.
I think him and Massey are these petty little men that they don't have the willpower to deal with anything. They break at anytime someone takes a shot at them, like a verbal shot at them in some way. They quit. They have to recoil and say something right away. They don't have thick skin. And the fact is that this Mark Wayne Mullen discussion about him, because he didn't say, I'm sorry, I didn't have empathy for you in some way because you got your ass kicked. I mean, come on. I mean, that's the most petty, ludicrous thing I heard and stuff like that. You did get your ass kicked. All right. Oh, I had bruised ribs. I was in the hospital, broken ribs. I was in pain and stuff. I mean, he's just so petty. I mean, Mark Lane Mullen, he's like, I can understand why this guy did it because it's an opposing viewpoint and stuff like that. You see this shit all the time. I think in some way that he was trying to egg him on when he said that because they probably don't like each other, as Rand Paul has professed. But I mean, come on, this is at a hearing. I mean, a confirmation. So yeah, I'm not going to vote for him because I want to be super petty.
It was like what Trump said during the debates to Rand Paul. He said, I've had you up to here.
Yeah.
I've had you right up to here.
Yeah, and I think this Mark Wayne Mullen may have been picked and for this very reason to expose Rand Paul because he's the chairman of this committee. So it seemed to me in some way, I wonder if that was done strategically to have Rand Paul pull out his weave. All right,
to Kentucky.
So breaking, Elon Musk just dropped this mind-blowing update on Neuralink. In the next 6 to 12 months, we'll be doing our first implants for vision. Even if somebody's completely blind, we can write directly to visual cortex, blindness cured, sight restored, humanity upgrade from zero vision. Wow, let's listen.
Doing our first implants for vision, where even if somebody's completely blind, we can write directly to the visual cortex. But long term, you would have very high resolution and be able to see in multispectral wavelengths.
Wow.
You could see in infrared, ultraviolet, radar. It's like a superpower situation. In the next 6 to 12 months, we'll be doing our first implants for vision, where even if somebody's completely blind, we can write directly to.
That's just amazing. That's absolutely amazing. Think about it. I have cornea dystrophy, and anybody who doesn't know, it's a genetic thing. It's like 1% of the less than 1% of the population. But what it is, it's spots on the frontal cortex. Okay, and they accumulate over time, and they block the light out. So it increases night blindness. Some people get it on the back. And I wonder how this is going to affect all that because there's no surgery for that. There were surgeries that were done. I know my grandfather had it and it didn't work out. And he always had problems with his eyes. And, I was always told by my ophthalmologist, there's really not much you can do. I mean, I take enough vitamins. I put enough moisturizer in my eyes and stuff. But realistically, something like this for the future, how about someone who is blind that could see again?
It's crazy, man.
That's absolutely fantastic. I mean, Elon is rocket, man.
Is it going to be like those? Remember the comic books back in the day, Brett?
Yeah.
Where you could buy those glasses. They said you could look through girls' clothes.
Oh, yeah. The X-ray vision.
Yeah, you can see the chick. Remember that?
Yeah, I know.
The old comic books, man.
No,
it's I'm making a joke, but that is very cool.
Cool. It is cool in some way when you think about it. I mean, it's just amazing. That type of technology is just, that's everything that's out there. And man,
and also for people that are that can't walk, he's got that too that's coming up.
Yeah.
People that are paralyzed.
He does?
Yeah. I mean, imagine being paralyzed and you can all of a sudden walk again. I mean, that's pretty incredible, man.
That is pretty incredible. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he's got that going on too.
Yeah, that's just amazing.
Let's get 5,000 guys. You know,
Let me get to this. Something's wrong with this. I can't. What the hell is happening? I can't end the show. I'll play one more. I can't. I got to figure out why I can't end the show. But this, I got to figure this out. Something's wrong.
play one more.
Okay. Here we go. Oh, something's wrong. Disclosed TV came out. Okay. This was reported other places. U.S. cybersecurity and infrastructure. Security agency quietly purchases aliens.gov domain name. I don't know what to make of this. But that's kind of odd, don't you think? What type of aliens.gov? Not for illegal aliens, is it? I mean, what is it for? That's a weird thing, don't you think? Alien.gov. Curiosity just went from 0 to classified. More distractions. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm just showing you that. It was just an odd thing I picked up. A lot of people were talking about it on X. And of course, you got to talk about the aliens and stuff. And don't forget Blue Beam 2 and all this other stuff.
I think we're going to see a lot of things coming up, Brett.
No, I know. I think
think
Trump
a lot
will
of
give us.
things are gonna
I mean,
start
does anybody
coming
believe Trump will give us some type of dissertation to the whole thing regarding the discussion of aliens? I mean, he commented it heavily on the fact that Obama revealed classified information in some way. And I just wonder why Obama did that. And now President Trump has got to declassify all this stuff. I wonder if there's going to be any blowback from that.
And there's a whole lot going on with that because I believe that we're going to see things that we haven't seen before that are going to be exposed. And it's just, I've got an article I'm going to send to you for Friday's show, kind of speaking on that. But we are witnessing some crazy stuff. I'll just leave it like that.
No, we are. I mean, a lot of people talk about med beds and all these other things that are out there. I mean, there's definitely technologies that are hidden from us there are cures. There are definitely cures for cancer. There's cures for a lot of things. And, hopefully we can get to that point. I'd really like to see that we get to this, some more positivity. So that's it. I dropped all the pills and stuff. That's our show for tonight. We will return on Friday. I want you to have a good evening. Be well, be safe, be smart. Take care, Marshall. Be well, everybody. See you then. Bye.
Good night.